Now, just to set the scene for the sake of our audience, we're going to do this portion a little bit differently. What we're going to do is, as you saw, the basic format's going to stay the same. Everybody will have a 2-minute introduction. Then I'll ask a couple of questions, and then you will all have a two minutes to summarize whatever it is you'd like people to leave with. Now, we're going to do that. In this case, we're going to do it all together. Meaning, so, Carson, we'll start with you, and that you will do all of those things first, and then we'll move on. We wanted to have you all sit together so you wouldn't be lonely, just for one. And secondly, I was given a question from the audience that I wanted to ask everybody before we get started. Is the fact that you're all running opposed because you've done a great job, or because you're ruthless campaigners? Which one is it? And I'd like the attorney to go first with that. Could you go first? You know.
I'll plead the fifth.
Okay, that's why I asked you first. I figured you'd say that. Very good. Okay. So with that said, what we'd like to do is we're going to start this evening with Carson Beard. And Carson, you are running for clerk of the court. First of all, if you could give us just a 2-minute introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, sir. My name is Carson Beard. I am fortunate to serve as clerk of court. I have been in...
Make sure you...
Sorry.
That's a good point. Thank you.
My name is Carson Beard. I'm fortunate to serve as clerk of court. I've been in the clerk's office for almost 9 years now. I've been clerk for 2.5. I appreciate you all having me. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to the questions, what they are. Maybe we can get into some information. But I just appreciate being here, and I appreciate y'all being here, and I'm ready for the questions.
Wonderful. All right. With that said then, Carson, if you could tell us in your own words, define the role of the clerk of the court.
That's difficult.
Oh, dear. Okay.
The code sets out over 800 duties for the clerk. So we range from marriage licenses to concealed handgun permits to civil filings, divorces. I mean, it's, you know, we're kind of an all-encompassing office. And it's a difficult job because you have to have people, and I'm thankful for the staff that I have, you have to have people to know 800 duties. There's no, you know, like larger localities that have a whole criminal division. Well, that's not how we have it. So it's a difficult job. I can't really describe it in 2 minutes, to be honest. I think the clerk, the most important role of the clerk is the keeper of the record. So we keep all the records, from your deeds to your marriage license, to your court cases, to your plats. So I think that's the most important role, to sum it up briefly, is the keeper of the record.
Right. And I'm off the top, but you work at Judge Durer's court, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, very good. And that's because, just to clarify, I served on the hospice board with Judge Durer before he was Judge Durer many years ago. It's not because I appeared in front of him, okay, just to let you know. So, okay. Okay, the second question, Carson, is have you implemented any significant changes since you began as the clerk of the court that you'd like us to know about?
Yes. So before we had deeds scanned to the 80s, I have now scanned them all to 1749. So 1749 to 1913 haven't been uploaded on the system yet. That project has taken a little longer than I anticipated. But we have a marriage license kiosk now, so people can come in and actually fill out the information on the computer. It's transmitted to the front. It's much quicker. Concealed handgun permits, now they are on plastic cards. They were on just paper, kind of flimsy. You can pay court costs, criminal court costs now online. E-recording was probably the biggest, which is e-recording of land records. So it saves people from having to come in and actually physically present the deed and to record the deed. So it makes it a lot quicker for real estate agents, for title companies. They're able to do that from their offices. Those are just a few of the changes I've made so far. I want to get out more information about the clerk's office, so that'll be one of my next focuses. I'm trying to get information out in the Culpeper Quarterly, so we put out an article every quarter to try to keep the public updated on the improvements and the role of the office. So I think I've tried to do as much as I can in 2.5 years, and I hope to be able to do a lot more.
Well, with 800 responsibilities, Mr. Beard, I now understand why you're running unopposed. God bless you. Last comment. Give us, with 2 minutes, summarize what would you all like us to remember about you and your office as we leave tonight?
Well, I'd invite you all to come to the office. I think it's a very interesting office. You have records there, like I said, back to 1749, to the formation of the county. So you can see the original plat to the town of Culpeper. So I invite people to come and view our records. We're open to the public Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. I think it's important to know sort of about where you live. And if you want to know that, you come to the clerk's office. You can find everything. You can even find your lineage there. So I think it's an important office, and I'm proud to serve as clerk, and I'm very thankful to have the support that I've had, and I'm very thankful for the staff that I have.
Sure.
And I couldn't do it without them.
Wonderful.
So I'm very fortunate, and I'm really happy to be there.
Wonderful. And Mr. Beard, you keep saying 1749 and looking at me. I wasn't around then, okay? I just want to clarify.
No, sir. No,
okay,
sir.
Okay, thank you very much. For the record, I wanted to make sure that was stated, so, okay. Mr. Beard, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Ms. Yao, would you like to give a 2-minute introduction to the audience, please?
Absolutely. Let me start by telling you that there is not a thing I can do to increase your salary.
Oh.
Just so that we're clear about that.
So the next candidate will be, I'm sorry.
But no, as you all know, my name is Terry Yao. This will be my 7th election cycle for Commissioner of Revenue. I've been in the office for more than 28 years. I served for 6 years as Deputy Commissioner, took that opportunity to learn anything and everything that we do in the Office of the Commissioner of Revenue. I've served as your Commissioner for more than 22 years now. I really appreciate the faith and trust that you've put in me all these years. My job might not be as glamorous as the clerks, but we're considered the chief tax assessing officer. Oftentimes people will tell me, I will see people out on the street and they'll empty out their pockets and they'll tell me that they gave me all their money. And so let me just tell you really quickly, by chief assessing officer, what I mean is that Commissioners of the Revenue is charged with the discovery of property subject to taxation. We're then charged with valuing that property in accordance with state law, which, you've heard General Assembly members earlier, and a lot of that state law for valuing property is dictated by General Assembly members. We then combine the tax rates that are adopted by the county and, is that it? I only have 21 seconds?
20 seconds left.
Oh, my God. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. It means a lot to me that you're here. I really appreciate that. And I'm available to you anytime that you want to talk to me. There's information back on my back table. Thank my Chief Deputy Denise Wetzel for being here, and my husband. There's information about brief descriptions. Ooh.
Thank you. Boy, that was efficient. That was very good. Now, you get more time now, Ms. Al. You know that, right? So, in your own words, if you could, define the role of the Commissioner of the Revenue. I think you may have started that, but tell us more about that.
Oh, my goodness. As most of you are figuring out, or many of you already know, it's almost impossible for me to talk to you in 2 minutes. But the Commissioner of Revenue, again, Chief Assessing Officer, value property, combine the tax rates adopted by the Board of Supervisor and the Town Council, that then generates tax assessment data. And that data is then given to the treasurers, and they're the ones who send out the bills and collect the bills. But see, there's a lot of other things that we do. Every time the General Assembly meets, they can change taxation law for us. They can establish about property that's going to be taxable. They can establish property that's now going to be exempt. In Culpeper County, we have things like the new food and beverage tax. We administer that program. We have the volunteer fire and rescue recruitment and retention program. The Commissioner of Revenue administers that program. But commissioners of revenue, I mean, last week I learned that there are some commissioner of revenues that marry people. I don't marry people yet, but there are investment incentive programs that the county offers. The commissioner of revenue does that. My objective as far as commissioner of revenue, which I've done for years, is to include you in the assessment process. Many of the changes that we've made over the years, things that I inherited, like 50% of cost for trailers. You know, people asked me to get rid of that. We did a depreciation schedule. I inherited 50% of cost for business personal property. That means whether you owned your property for 1 year or you owned it for 30 years, it was still valued for taxation at 50% of cost. I, with the help of the Chamber of Commerce, we changed that. The business community created the assessment depreciation schedule that we use today. So my objective is to include you in taxation, because taxation affects all of us. And who better to include in the assessment process than you?
Perfect timing. So, okay, with that said, clearly you have a lot going on in your office. What are the biggest, Ms. Yao, what are the biggest pressing issues affecting your office today?
Well, the biggest pressing issues, you know, I'll give you some of the challenges, but for me, our biggest challenge is also some of my success. Staff. Staff, just like everywhere else. You're going to see with General Assembly members, we are headed for a lot of turnover from General Assembly members down. You know, this year alone, by the end of January, Commissioners of Revenue across the state of Virginia, there are 133 localities in the Commonwealth of Virginia. 127 of us are elected by you all in our community. We're going to lose another 25 commissioners of the revenue by the end of this year. That's a lot of knowledge and skill and historical just experience. So staff, but what I mean by bittersweet is a lot of the people that have come to work for me. You know, I'm not one of those people that practice job security. Is it important to me to teach everybody who works for me everything we do? Because in the event, should I croak or get unseated, it is important to me that you all don't know that. You should never know that. There should not be any break in services to you should something happen to one of us. So it's important to me to teach everybody everything that we do in our office, you know, to do cross-training, because that makes that employee better able to serve you as the citizens of Culpeper. And that is what we do. We serve you, and we have experience. You know, if you are bright and intelligent and enthusiastic and energetic, offices like ours, we can't compete with salary. Those people are going to move on. And the last year and a half, 3 of my employees have moved on to the federal government, 1 to the town of Culpeper, 1 to the county of Culpeper. Much broader opportunity and higher salaries. So what is my challenge is also my success.
Staffing. I just want to I'll speak for the audience. I want to assure you, Ms. Yao, that if something happens to you, we'd like to know about it, though. We appreciate your commitment to cross-training, though. So with that said, we'll give you 2 minutes to just summarize. What would you like us, Ms. Yao, to remember about you and your office as we leave here tonight?
Well, this is what I want you all to know. You know, oftentimes I talk to people who tell me that they only vote for president. The people that you are hearing from tonight, we represent you, and every single vote counts. It really does. There are races that have been won by 5 votes, 3 votes, 1 vote. And here's the thing. The constitutional officers, there's 5 of us. 4 candidates are here represented, and tomorrow night will be the sheriff. But the constitutional officer form of government, that allows you decide whether or not we work for you. And I hope you embrace that, and I hope that you do come out and vote. You know, if you don't think that we serve you well, if you don't think we're looking after your best interest, heck, if you just don't even like us, then it is your responsibility to find a replacement for us. I want to thank you all, again, for putting your faith and trust in me. You know, I work hard to represent you. I try to correct anything that's wrong. I try to make life better when it comes to the assessment of property, more equitable, fair, and uniform assessment. Everybody knows I have no friends or family in this job. You will never get favorable treatment from me, so don't bother asking. But
That crosses one question off, doesn't it?
please do. But take voting seriously. That's what I hope that you take away from me, or really take away from tonight. You know, if you don't believe that you were represented well, then it is in your lap to find a replacement for us. So please, in November, come out and vote. Encourage your friends and family to come out and vote. And I hope you'll continue to support me in my bid for my 7th term as Commissioner of Revenue. Thanks, guys, for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Yowell. That was wonderful. Next up will be our Commonwealth's Attorney candidate, Mr. Russell Rabb, and who is not allowed to take the 5th at this point. So let's start with if you could just give us a 2-minute introduction, Mr. Rabb.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Russ Rabb. As I look up and down this table, I see experienced candidates. I am the only rookie candidate at this table running. I have never been a politician in my life, but I'm excited to have this opportunity right now. I came to Culpeper in 2006 after my wife and I got married. I've been a career prosecutor since 2006, serving as Commonwealth's Attorney in both Fauquier and Culpeper counties. I am passionate about my work. During my time as Commonwealth's Attorney, I have prosecuted all types of crimes. I've prosecuted white collar, I've prosecuted murder, sexual assault, and I am passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about achieving justice. During that time, I have prosecuted probably over 50 jury trials. I've prosecuted in all 3 courts, the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court, the General District Court, the Circuit Court, and I've prosecuted hundreds of bench trials in all of those courts. I find right now that the main issues facing us is the fentanyl crisis. It is the most probably poignant issue that's facing our community at this time. It is an insidious drug that I think is running deep, and I'm passionate about trying to find solutions that better work to improve the quality of life for this county. You know, as Commissioner Yao stated, you know, these are local elections, and they're very important. And even though the job title is Commonwealth's Attorney, I really represent the people of Culpeper. And it's the people of Culpeper that matter the most. And the job is to try to improve the quality of life for Culpeper, because since my wife and I moved here, we have found this to be a wonderful home and have enjoyed our time here, and believe that this to be the best county and the best state and the best country in the world.
Thank you. Mr. Rabb, building on your comments about the drug court, can you share your thoughts on the drug court's effect on our community and your plans to sustain its progress?
So Culpeper County started a drug court probably about two and a half years ago. I think it got its first applicant. The drug court program, it's ramping up, and it's taken a little while, but the purpose of the drug court is to try to put rehabilitation first. There are many goals in the community justice system. Two of the biggest goals, and that often get seen the most, are rehabilitation and punishment. Drug court is to try to put rehabilitation before punishment. However, they kind of have to work hand in hand, meaning when people go into drug court, they have to want to achieve a positive goal, meaning they want to better themselves, better the community, and if not, they know that there are consequences for their action. For a drug court to work effectively, I think people need to have a work requirement, where they're invested in their community, where they're making their own money, and I think that this is something that is paramount to me in order to, I think, improve individuals. I believe this for individuals who are not in drug court as well. The idea is that drug court will not be for everyone, and it's not designed to help, you know, drug dealers. It's really to try to help users who need to kind of be in the community, work with their family, and try to make a better lives for themselves. And it's my hope that we can have a system that works in order to help those members of the community that are at a desperate end.
Wonderful, thank you. Next question, what steps can be taken to address the issue of overcrowding in our county jail?
So overcrowding in our county jail comes up frequently. It often comes up in terms of budget because it costs a lot to house inmates. The Culpeper County Jail is a small jail, probably designed to house about maybe 40 people. I could be off about that, but it's not a large jail. It's also just antiquated. So currently, Culpeper houses its own inmates at Rappahannock, Shenandoah, Warren Regional Jail in Front Royal, Piedmont Regional Jail in Farmville, Riverside Jail in Petersburg, and Pamunkey Jail. I wonder if anybody even knows where that is, but it's in Hanover. That's only our own inmates. Currently, we also have a lot of inmates that I'll say have dual interest in, meaning we have them charged and another jurisdiction has them charged. So they can be anywhere from Prince William to Central Virginia Regional Jail, Rappahannock Regional Jail. They can be as far away as Southside Virginia, Southwest Virginia, or even in Virginia Beach. Meaning through all this time, we have to transport these inmates. Now again, it's hard to do something about the latter category, about the dual category, but in terms of our own jail, if we were to have a jail perhaps in the old juvenile facility next to Coffeewood, we would perhaps be able to house all of our inmates locally. It would be more efficient for our sheriffs, more efficient for the court personnel, including the clerk's office, and it would also, I think, actually benefit defense attorneys. While I may be a prosecutor, we need to have a defense bar that works effectively with their clients and is able to represent them appropriately. If they're all housed locally as opposed to several jurisdictions, I think it would actually increase efficiency in court and provide better representation, and I think it would have a much smoother court system.
Makes sense. Thank you. Last thing, Mr. Rabb, if you could just take a couple minutes and tell us what you'd like us to remember about you as we leave here tonight.
What I'm really most passionate about is trying to uphold victims' rights. In many crimes we have, and I look at, they're just kind of crimes on society in general. You know, somebody is speeding. That's probably the most common offense you would ever see in our general district court. It might affect that speeder on that day and that person's record. But when we start to look at more and more serious offenses, we have victims who are true victims of crimes and have to survive what they've had to deal with. Every person who's been a victim of a sexual assault has had to try to survive that ordeal. Every family member of a homicide victim has had to learn to overcome that tragedy. And this goes even on and on to even more minor crimes as larceny or burglary of a home where you don't even feel safe where you live. These are the crimes I'm most passionate about because these are the crimes that affect mostly members of our own community. What I want to do is be able to give them the dignity that they deserve, having gone through a horrible crime and then having to go through a confusing process, having to navigate our court system. We have a victim witness office that can be utilized in support of them. The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office currently has a great staff that can support them. There's lots of things that we can do to support victims' rights and how they deal with the criminal justice system. Nobody wants to come to court, but oftentimes people do need to come to court, and it's especially victims and even witnesses of crime that we need to help understand the process and give them the support that they need. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Rabb. I appreciate it. Next candidate, Town Council candidate, Mr. John Russell. First of all, we're going to start off with, if you could give us just a 2-minute introduction, tell us about you and your office and what you'd like to accomplish.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you to the Chamber for putting this together. It's always a great event whenever we can get all the candidates together, and I really like this kind of setup right here. So it gives people a little mix-up in how we do things. So I'm married to my wife, Sarah. We've been married for 21 years. We have 4 children. I serve as Chief of Staff in Spotsylvania Public Schools. I have served on Town Council for 7 years. I've been off of Council for 2 years, and I've taken that time to create some opportunities for our community. One of those is geared towards youth. And what we have created, our team, has been the Kelly Street Boxing Club, which has been a place for boys primarily from single-parent homes to come and learn boxing skills and life skills, how to fix a car, how to chop wood, last night we taught them how to look at the electrical box and to splice wires and whatnot. So just teach them different things that they will use the skill sets later. We also spent this time too establishing the Culpeper Rodeo, which has been a huge tourist draw, probably one of the largest tourist attractions over the last 2 years, bringing in a lot of business for our restaurants and our lodging establishments. One of the areas I'd like to focus on moving forward is housing affordability. Our rents are just too high, and we're not being able to keep pace with income, and people are being priced out of rental homes. And the reason that is because supply has been restricted. Too few people own most of the inventory. There are ways that we can change that, but it's going to take some people being creative and innovative and partnerships both on the county and the town level, which I'll discuss here in a little bit.
Wonderful. Thank you. Based on what you know, Mr. Russell, based on what you know about the town government, what do you see as the top priorities for town council over the next year, and why?
We're closing in within the next few years of being a completely debt-free town. I think that's extremely important. I think that sets a precedent for the rest of the state to show that municipalities can operate within their means. That's, to me, is a big priority, but the overarching, kind of the glaring thing is the housing affordability issue. There are a lot of things we could be doing that we're not doing right now to provide more supply. Accessory dwelling units, making those easier to establish. So if you have a mother-in-law suite or you want to turn a basement into an apartment, cutting the regulation and the cost of doing that, as well as we need to switch up some of our zoning, especially on our main highways. We've been sitting on a plan for 3 years to actually incorporate mixed-use zoning, which will allow businesses and living quarters to be together. Right now on our main highways, most of them are either residential or commercial, and you don't see a mix. And so we need to be able to mix both the residential and commercial. The other is I'd really like to see tiny home clusters. I know a lot of people don't really care for tiny homes, but if I've got 3 to 4 acres in town and I want to develop that and put 10, a cluster of 10 tiny homes and rent them out to young couples just getting started, I should be able to do that. But what keeps us from doing that is the tap fees. Our tap fees are way too high for any kind of improvements we want to make. Those tap fees are the fees that you pay to hook up to water and sewer. If you want to create an apartment complex, as of right now, unless you get a special waiver, you've got to pay a tap for every single unit. That's astronomical, and no one's going to build as long as we have those high fees in place.
Good, thank you. Now, as we talked earlier, we've both lived in the community for a number of years now, and you talked about how certainly, like any community, it can have its complexities. Mr. Russell, how do you plan on handling controversial and contentious matters such as rezoning and what you just spoke about?
Rezoning in particular, like I said, the town has been sitting on it, and a lot of that is because I don't think that there's anyone building a clear consensus on how we move forward. The town, they have to run those plans through the Planning Commission.
Mm-hmm.
The Planning Commission has their things they look at in particular. But I think the best way to do it is to take it out to the public, and especially in those impacted areas, and show them what exactly it's going to do and the potential. I mean, we're going to be if we're able to rezone and mix use all of the highways through town, we are talking about people being able to have more freedom with their property and being able to make more money off of their property or convert it into the things they've been dreaming of that they've never been able to do. So a lot of that is just taking it to the public in every street, every neighborhood, and saying, here's the plan, get on board. We haven't done that in a broad enough sense. It's kind of like we set up a table somewhere and say, come see. We've got to take it out into the community because this is going to have a long-lasting, good economic impact, but we've got to sell it. And so that's what I would like to do once I get in.
Wonderful. Thank you. Last thing, Mr. Russell, just to summarize, as we all get ready to leave here this evening, take 2 minutes and tell us what you'd like us to remember about you and your candidacy.
I necessarily don't want people to remember me per se. I want them to remember Culpeper. Not only the way it was, with our history and with but where we're going also. And one of the things that's going to be, I would say Carson, Terry, Russ, Missy, everyone on this table, and everyone that was on the panels before, everyone wants what's best for Culpeper, right? And I think that that's the highest priority for all of us to get behind, is what is best for our town, what is best for our county. And, if there's anything to be remembered, is we have a rich history. But we have a history too. We have a new future that's coming up. Are we going to be brought into Nova, or are we going to establish ourselves as a unique destination point, right? To me, that's what I would rather have. And I think we have the bones to do that without selling our souls to big corporations coming in and taking over big, parts of our land and developing it into cookie cutter homes. We have the uniqueness, we have the ability to chart our own future, but we've got to have leaders willing to step up and not take the easy money. And we also need to have our schools sitting at the table when we're talking about development. Because if they're not at the table, they're the ones that pay the cost, and then the taxpayers end up paying the cost because they didn't have a voice when it came to development. So to me, it's a collaborative effort. It's a community effort. It's all of us looking for a Culpeper that's unique. And just by the way, Dominion Skating Rink opening up soon. I'm very excited about that. Again, more opportunities for youth. We're getting ready to put the pool in here in the next couple of years.
Great.
And those plans are coming. So just designing our community not to be like anyone else, but be unique. So join me in that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Russell. That was great. Our last candidate will speak will be Treasurer candidate Missy Norris White. And just to make sure I frame this properly, if I understand fundamental jobs, it's Ms. Yow's responsibility to raise the money and yours to spend it. Is that correct?
Well, she tells you how much you owe, and I take your money.
That's
To be fair to her.
That's an important distinction then. Thank you.
Yes, that's very important.
Ms. Norris White, if you would be so kind, if you could just take 2 minutes and introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. Thank you all for taking time out tonight. Thank you to Miss Amy and the Chamber for hosting us all and giving us a chance to speak a little bit. For me, to speak a little about myself and my job as Culpeper County Treasurer. For those of you who don't know me, and most of you are pretty familiar in this room, but my name is Missy Norris White, and I'm proudly serving my first term as your Culpeper Treasurer. I have deep roots here in Culpeper, as I'm a Culpeper native, and I'm honored to have this opportunity to serve the community where I was raised. My parents are also both Culpeper natives, my dad only leaving this area to serve in the U.S. Marine Corps during the Vietnam War. My sister has been a teacher in Culpeper for 23 years, yes, God bless her, and she's currently teaching at the middle school level, which God bless her again, because that's crazy. But I'm married to Nick White, who has spent most of his career in law enforcement and somehow managed to go to law school and pass the Virginia bar, all while working full-time, and is now an associate attorney working here downtown in Culpeper for Gayhart and Willis. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm the proud mom of one son who actually graduated last year from Eastern View High School and Germanna Community College as a dual enrolled student, and is now a Shenandoah University freshman where he is studying business administration and serving on their, or not serving, but he's playing on their men's golf team. It's more of a playing than a serving, I'm sure. I'm a 1990 graduate of Culpeper County High School, where I was a student athlete there, and I received my bachelor's degree from the University of Mary Washington, go Eagles, in 1994. So that's given I'm a little older than Mr. Ford. I have worked my entire career in the field of business and accounting, almost 30 years. First as an accountant for a local law firm, then 10 years here in Culpeper with Culpeper Wood Preservers, where I did accounting work, mostly focusing on the collection of accounts receivable, which fits very well into my job now. And now 17 years in serving Culpeper, 4 of which have been as your treasurer.
Wonderful. So to clarify, so then, and on behalf of your sister as well, so it's you that can get the teachers' raises. Is that correct? No? No?
I'm sorry?
Not correct. Okay. Well handled. Okay. Start off with Ms. Norris White, in your own words, define the role of the Culpeper County Treasurer.
Okay. So I would say before I ran for treasurer, I did work in Culpeper County, but I would say most people, to include myself, really have a very small knowledge of what happens in the treasurer's office. So I'm kind of excited to share with you all what we do. The office of the treasurer was created as an elected position in the Virginia Constitution in 1870. So for a long time, we've had tax collectors. The treasurer's status as an elected official ensures that local funds are collected, invested, and accounted for by an officer who reports directly to the people. So that's very important. The legal authority for the treasurer's duties, though, are governed by the Constitution of Virginia, the Code of Virginia, local ordinances, and the opinions of the Attorney General. The treasurer is a true representative of the people, and there's very little room for personal discretion. The primary role of the treasurer, as most of you know, and I stated earlier, is to collect revenue. Our office is responsible for the collection of personal property tax, real estate tax, and miscellaneous other taxes that the county has in place. All other revenues for the county, whether they're local, federal, or state money, also are processed through our office. And oddly enough, the code mandates that the treasurer sells county dog tags. So if you have a dog, you probably get a letter from us. There are over 65,000 real estate and personal property bills generated each year in Culpeper, and our current collection rates are 99.88% for real estate and 97.51% for personal property. So that shows that a good majority of folks do pay their taxes, but not everyone pays on time. So a not so popular but important part of our job is the collection of delinquent taxes as well. The treasurer also oversees the county's investment policy, and we are responsible for the reconciliation of the depository bank accounts that the county holds. We will also play a role in the county's annual audit. But in addition to all of those responsibilities, our mission here at our office is to ensure that fiscal integrity of public funds is there and to provide efficient, accurate, prompt, and courteous, sometimes hard, service to the citizens.
Thank you. Ms. Northway, what are some of the pressing issues affecting your office right now?
Well, I would say the best response to challenges in our office is that no one likes to pay taxes, to include myself and probably most everyone in this room. But I think most of us can all agree that taxes are a necessary part of government, and the collection of taxes is what allows those critical services, such as schools and public safety, to go on. There can be arguments all day long about the correct ways to spend the money or what programs are really worth it, but the bottom line is if there were no revenues collected, there would be nothing to argue about. So I would say the most challenging part of our job is to just explain the basics of how local taxes work. We spend a good amount of time explaining to people what the separation of powers are between the Commissioner of Revenue and the Treasurer's Office. And a lot of people think that because my name is on their tax bill that I can correct things or adjust things that come on their taxes. They think that I can change the amount that they owe because they don't own that car anymore, or they don't have that property, or I can give them a discount. I can extend the due date because no one wants to pay taxes at Christmas, or they were on vacation during the due date and the Wi-Fi wasn't good enough so they couldn't pay online, or for whatever reason they didn't get their bill so they think we didn't print one and mail it to them. But I can assure you we do print and mail every single tax bill. But the good news is that the authority of the treasurer is very much dictated by the Code of Virginia. So the code is very clear that charging those penalties and interest, and that's mandated by us, we have no control, and that the postmark governs the timeliness of your payment. The separation of duties between the treasurer and the commissioner clearly mean that I cannot issue a credit or a discount or provide explanation as to why their vehicles may be assessed higher than what they think they are, and we gladly do send those calls straight to their office because we get them and they have to deal with those, so it's not an easy task. But don't get me wrong, most people we would deal with are pleasant, so we just do the best we can and help as many people as we can.
So you're just following the rules?
Just following orders.
There you go. Okay, good. Last thing, Ms. Northway, we'll give you a couple of minutes to send us away with anything you'd like us to remember about you, your office, or your candidacy.
Okay. Thanks again for everyone taking their time out to get to know your candidates. It is very important, as Ms. Yao said. The importance of the jobs done here on a local level are more important than a lot of people think. I am truly humbled at the opportunity that was given to me 4 years ago to serve this community, and I take a great pride in the accomplishments of my office during this term. So in closing, I would just probably share with you a few things that we have achieved in our office because most people don't know about them. Probably one of the most important things to note is that we have maintained the collection rate for both property taxes, real estate, and personal property. Despite the economic challenges of COVID, and when I was elected in 2020, they hit me square in the face. But the revenues came in, and they came in solid, so that maintained the level of service that the citizens were used to in Culpeper. I am very proud to announce that during 2023, I obtained my certification as Master Governmental Treasurer, a program administered by the UVA's Weldon Cooper Center. Culpeper Treasurer's Office is now an accredited agency with the Treasurers Association of Virginia, the first time in its history. We achieved our first accreditation in 2021, and we met the standards each year to remain accredited. And while it is not required to be accredited, it does acknowledge that our office meets the standards for best practices for performances and fiscal management. We're also now offering Culpeper citizens the option to have monthly automatic withdrawals taken from their checking account to pay towards their tax bills, so that that Christmas time bill comes and it's not quite as much of a burden, at least we hope so. And it's been very well received, and we have 500 accounts already on that program. We have also updated the annual billing format to streamline the information on those bills and make those bills easier to read. We have added the online utility payment option, and we've updated many office procedures to eliminate paper and storage challenges. I would say these past 4 years have flown by, and I'm very proud of our office. I have more to do, though, and I have more to offer. So even though I'm running unopposed, I'm again humbly asking for your support and your votes in November to be reelected as your Culpeper County Treasurer.
Thank you. As you all presented and talked this evening, it's clear to me, and I say this with great respect, I understand to some degree why you're running unopposed. You have tough jobs. I think you really do, and I'll speak on behalf of everybody else. We appreciate your commitment to doing them and doing them as well as you do, because they're difficult, and I realize that's a challenge. Now, I'm going to look over to Amy here and just ask a quick question. Do we have time for me to ask one more question? Is that okay? Or do we have to cut it off? It's up. Sure. All right. I want to have everybody capture that look of panic she had over there. I realize it's a very simple question. I'm going to ask everybody the same question of your office, and you could take a minute or so to answer it if you like. I'm going to ask you, what question should we have asked you that we didn't? Or is there a question that you would like us to have asked you that we didn't? And Mr. Beard, we'll just start with you. If you just take a minute, is there anything else we should know or we should have asked?
Well, I wish I had more time to explain all the things that the clerk's office does. I think this is a very short format, but I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful to get some information out there. But I think it was a good event. I enjoyed getting some information out there, and it's a large office to get out in 8 minutes.
Complicated. Sure, I can appreciate that. So maybe more time. Ms. Yowell, what didn't we ask, or what would you like us to have asked that we didn't?
I'm going to have to tell you the same exact thing. I wish that we had had more time to address all of the things that we do, because as everyone I think has expressed here, there's a lot of responsibility in each of our offices, and people don't understand that for like the Commissioner of the Revenue, you have to be very flexible. Sure. Every time the General Assembly meets, things change for us. Every time the Board of Supervisors meets, things change for us. Every time the Tax Commissioner ruling or the Attorney General ruling or the Governor steps in and changes things. You have to be flexible. There's a lot of things that change for us. There's a lot of duties that we have, and a lot of people have no idea what we do. It's virtually impossible to give you a snapshot of what we do. But I do have a bunch of brochures in the back table. I also have chocolate for those of you all that need that to get through the day. I also have brochures that give you just a quick rundown of what the responsibilities of each of the Commissioners of the Revenue. And again, you know, thanks everybody. Just thanks for coming out, and thanks for hosting this event, Amy. I'm so proud of you. You're super sweet. And this is on social media. I understand it's being streamed live on Facebook, and then of course we have Culpeper Media that's filming this as well. So hopefully people will take something away.
Mr. Rabb, first of all, do you have any chocolate for us? And secondly, is there anything question you'd like us to have asked that we didn't?
Well, all I would say is just sometimes what is the most difficult challenge facing a Commonwealth's Attorney's Office right now? Staffing is one of the most difficult challenges that Commonwealth's Attorney's offices have right now. It's a challenge for other offices too. I know all offices would probably like to get pay up for everybody, and that's a challenge for governments in order to fund them as well, but it's also a challenge for us to recruit high quality individuals. I did not get into this profession because I wanted to make lots of money as an attorney. I got it because I enjoy trial. I enjoy interacting with the public. I enjoy the public service aspect of it, and we want to find more like-minded people that have those goals as well. And that's what we're seeking. But it is a challenge that we're facing right now to find good quality people.
So the people aren't getting into that for the big money like they do with teaching, right?
I like to tell people maybe we need more lawyers.
There you go. Ooh, we may need to discuss that one later. Mr. Russell, take a minute. What didn't we ask that we should have or could have?
About collaboration between the town, the county, and the school division.
Interesting.
Quite frankly, there is hardly any. We do it when it's transactional relationship, right? Instead of looking at kind of a holistic view of it. How do we partner with the schools to allow their parks after hours to become public parks for people to use? How do we have that kind of shared common space with the parks, with the schools, to create more park space? How do we collaborate with Terry and Missy to create a way, and with the Board of Supervisors to create a way where we can go in and pay both our town and county taxes that we both have to pay. So, for us to live in town, we have to pay twice on personal property tax. Can we please just go in and make one payment to both and then get them separated?
Very good.
Instead of running us up right against Christmas time. There's things like that I would like for us to have a deeper discussion on instead of operating like silos.
Very good. Ms. Norris White, and you're not allowed to mention Ms. Yowell's name. Is there a question we didn't ask you that you wish we had or that you'd like that we had asked?
No, I appreciated the questions because so many people don't know what we do, and they don't know the differences between our two offices. And I would say that, that it's important for people to hear what the challenges are of your position, and I think it's important for us to acknowledge those challenges. So I thought the questions and I thought they were fine. I do think a little more time. I felt like I was speaking, so I apologize if I was talking super fast, but I kept watching the clock and the yellow thing kept coming up like it is now. And but I do think, and I think maybe even a question about the way the constitutional officers work together. We truly do work together a lot. The commission, the Commonwealth Attorney and the sheriff's going to have to work together, a lot. And it is important. Those duties do kind of go together, and I think it's important to know how that works, because most people really don't have a good understanding as to how these offices really function. So, but no, I appreciated it all.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Chamber and Germaine, I'd like to thank all of our candidates for coming tonight. We really appreciated having you, so thank you very much. I'd like to recognize a couple of people. I'm going to turn it over to Amy. I want to recognize Jonathan Krawchuk and Ian Keeney for doing a wonderful job of putting this event. And lastly, also want to thank Amy Frazier from the Chamber for doing a fabulous job.